You good? I'm good. So if you haven't been here before, doesn't help that I haven't made an episode in a while, but my name is M.Geezerbub, and I like to talk about realizations, techniques, exercises, and all kinds of knowledge meant to help you fight with depression and anxiety and win. The information I like to offer tends to be a little unorthodox and hopefully not the kind of stuff that you hear everywhere else. I don't want to offer what's already being offered. I want to give you a perspective that's fresh, that's different. And with that, welcome back to A Little Help. So, what are we going to talk about this episode? Yes, I'm on a rocking chair. I'm sure you're noticing. We're going to talk about fairness and unfairness. Okay? What is unfairness? Unfairness, in the example of human event, is when a person or many people suffer great loss on the account of a force that is far greater in abundance and resources, and thus takes from others very easily and continues to do so. That is unfairness. Unfairness is basically the elephant stepping on the fish. It's always a hopeless fight. Okay? And unfairness, I'm going to be very clear with you on this, is a man made product. Okay? If something happens and it seems unfair, but it's not made by man, that's not necessarily unfairness. That's negative circumstance. It's different. Okay? I'm talking about man made unfairness. Now, how do you spot unfairness? I'd like to think that's a little too easy because we feel it right away, especially when we're on the receiving end. Spotting unfairness happens almost instantaneously because when it happens, it's always really easy to make out what would make things fair. You know what I mean? Like there'll be like this huge gap of something that's missing that would make it fair, and it's always really obvious. A really good example of unfairness would be from this kung fu flick that I watched not that long ago called Ip Man 2. You ever see that movie? You should see a movie. At the end of the movie, on the last fight between the character Donnie Yen plays and the villain, the boxer, twister, whatever, that is basically the whole fight is basically unfairness spelled out in action. You know what I mean? Like as you watch the scene, you're basically unfairness is the first thing that comes to your head. It's too easy to tell. And yeah, unfairness is something men do. We do that. Now, when a person tells you that life is unfair or should be, there's always it's always for one of two reasons. Okay, two. One, the person who's telling you that life should be unfair, or is, or both, is a direct profiteer of the fact. You're talking to someone who has made a sort of a business or situation or contract or did something that made things unfair for a bunch of victims that he takes from and survives off of that. It's basic capitalism. We all know this. The second reason is when the person who's telling you this, the victim, is exactly that. You're being told this by a victim, thus, who has suffered that unfairness one too many times and got it into his head that it is true and real. Okay? Now here comes the good news. Okay? This is my realization. Not only that unfairness is a man-made product, but so is fairness. That's the good news. As you can make things unfair, you can also make things fair. Okay? Like if you do a big job with you and like 5 other coworkers, and it's decided that the payment would be split 6 ways between all of you, is that not an attempt at fairness? When a thief is caught and is sent to court to be sentenced based on his crime, is that not an attempt at fairness? So yeah, unfairness is a man-made product, but so is fairness. We try to make things fair. We seek it out naturally. So Yeah. And the reason I wanted to relay this message because I don't like the idea that it's so popular. It's so popular for people to think that yeah, it's a good thing that life is unfair. It's supposed to be unfair. It's just natural that it's unfair. No, that's not a good message. I don't like it. There's a lot of other people that don't like it, and and if you're saying that yourself, you're saying it for one of the two reasons I've mentioned earlier. You're either a victim or a profiteer of it. Okay, that's why I wanted to make this next episode because unfairness, as abundant as it is, as true as it is against people, it's still a man-made thing, and it's not a good thing that it's happening. Just because it's real doesn't mean it's good. Okay, unfairness is not something you're supposed to encourage. It's something you're supposed to fight. And when you realize that you can make fairness in the face of unfairness, you can do so. Okay? Nobody ever told you that you had to accept unfairness in your life. And when somebody sinks that message into your head, it is very unhealthy. It's unhealthy because once you accept that life should be unfair and it'll always will be, it's like being a permanent defeatist. You know, you're allowing yourself to be defeated by unfairness by accepting that it's there. It's like, oh, it's supposed to happen. It's unfair. That's okay. I lost all my money. There goes my job. There goes my girlfriend. But that's okay because life is unfair. It's supposed to be like that. Here's the thing. I like to think that people do that because they did try to make things fair, but it didn't work out for them. So now they're just accepting the defeat. Now, with that being said, I get that it's not healthy to ruminate on a defeat. And you know what I mean? Like once you lose something because of how unfair it was, I get that a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's okay. It's supposed to be unfair." They do that as like a way to save face, a way to not suffer and ruminate over the fact that it happened. And I get that. That's okay. What I'm saying is to not never fully accept unfairness as a fact, as long as fairness can be made and is real and it exists. Okay? If you lose to something unfair, okay, fine. You lost. Don't ruminate on it, especially if you know you can get over it. That's fine. But that does not mean that you cannot seek out fairness in the future. Okay, don't let it become a concept of permanent defeat in your head. Okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed our talk. I'm pretty much out of time over here, so it's up to you if you want to like or subscribe or both. If you don't, that's completely fine. I'm not here for gain. I'm here to give. I want to make sure that people get better from their depression, anxiety with these videos. And with that, keep fighting a good fight, and more importantly, win. Take care.